Square Enix is on a mission to drag all of its Eidos favourites into the 21st century, and now it's the turn of 1998's Thief. You play as a thief named Garrett, a classic fantasy rogue complete with shadowy clothing and lighter than air fingers. He lives in the sort of city that has more thieves and scoundrels than workers, where the guards are stupid and brutal. It's a place that flashes back to fantasy staples like Conan, and seems to have infinite opportunities for making money and enemies. But like Square Enix's other revamps, the edge has been taken off the concept, making you more superhero than mere pickpocket. It makes it less like old Thief, with its weak, slow, sneaking Garrett who'd agonise over walking on a hard floor without firing off a moss arrow to soften his steps. This time Garrett is full of sass and blessed with incredible athleticism. It feels like Eidos Montreal's Thief shoves the original concept together with the flexible superhumanity of Assassin's Creed, making it feel more normalised than the original games, with all those edges that the casual player might get snagged on carefully hidden away. Things like sound detection are still present, but the guards are nowhere near as sensitive, nor do they always spot you, even if you are hiding in dark shadows a foot away from their face. And when you do get spotted, it's made easy to run away thanks to the verticality of many of the environments. To be clear, this is a preview based on the standard normal difficulty, but there is a hard mode which gives your enemies a bit more of a chance. Thankfully, there's also a good range of options to turn on, bringing back all those difficulty snags. They're arranged into 3 sets: Classic, Legendary and Ultimate. And these options make the game closer to Looking Glass's Thief. No reticule, no focus, stealth takedowns only, and saves only at chapter ends. Legendary steps up another gear, removing the medikits, slowing Garrett's movement and more. Finally, the ultimate settings include an Iron Man mode, a no kills or KOs mode, and a no upgrades mode. You can mix and match any of these, and combining them all would make the game nearly impossible to play, but I'd expect to see the first insane difficulty run through within a week of release. Garrett isn't the plodding ape of yesteryear either. Walls can be scaled in seconds with his climbing claw, and rope arrows can be deployed to open up new areas. He bounds over obstacles like Ezio, except that the running mechanism isn't quite as polished as Ubisoft's. He can also scout, a magic super step that lets you move from shadow to shadow without being noticed. Garrett has also acquired a Batman-esque focus vision mode which allows you to magic your way through most puzzles, tracking wires back to panels, speed picking locks and so on. Focus mode also makes theft even easier. The world is dripping with loot, from birds' nests to the pockets of passers-by to every last drawer in every wardrobe. On top of that, there's collectible loot, special items that Garrett can take back to his clock tower home to put on display. The only thing that never gets easy is the fighting. On normal difficulty, it's a simple, if slow, process to take down one guard, but 2 are tough unless you're prepared to spend some focus on the fight. On harder difficulties, running away makes much more sense, especially considering how fleet-footed Garrett is. Thankfully, you couldn't pick a better city to hide in, even if it's not the true, giant open-world game we were promised back in 2009. Even compared to Dishonored, the city still has some locations that wow, and much of it is true to the old Looking Glass vision. The House of Blossoms, for example, is a brothel that moves from seemingly abandoned ruins to luxurious palace, complete with a spy-hole-riddled basement that lets you see and hear every last depravity of the ruling classes. Clearly, it's here that the game truly earns its mature rating. The atmosphere feels right too. We don't want to spoil too much, but Garrett starts the game in a tutorial with his protege Erin. It all goes a bit wrong. A year later, Garrett awakes from a coma, having been cared for by the Beggars Guild. In the meantime, the city has fallen victim to a sickness called the Gloom, which depresses people to the point of death. So, while attempting to find out what happened to him and Erin, he also starts to chase down a cure for the disease as well. If it's the original Thief you want, it's still playable. Instead, what we have here is part tribute, part pastiche, but most of all a modern day do-everything action game modelled around the original game. It certainly has the charisma of Thief and perhaps not the same strangeness about it. So far it's looking like it won't steal your heart, but it's a charming, fresh-faced rogue nevertheless.